of like
what a transition, bro.
yeah.
So snakes and bank robberies. Let's talk about systems. Welcome to another episode of Here We Grow. And today I have the handsome man behind the camera, Brent Waldie. A couple years ago when we first came over to this office, it was kind of your and my dream to get something like this going. It's taken us a few years to build the studio, get all the stuff in place. And for me also in my business, just getting, the right people and systems in place to give me the time to actually do this.
Yeah.
So very excited about it. And today, because of what I was just talking about, I think what we're going to talk about later is going to be systems, things that we've had to build over the years to make sure that we can ensure our success. And the one thing that I was thinking, and I wanted to just like throw this on you when you weren't expecting it, but I think it would be really cool to have a value ticker where, because Brent has a joke that he says,
hashtag add value.
Yeah. The amount of times, if you go to a real estate conference, the amount of times you're going to hear somebody say the word value is astronomical.
You just got to add value to everything, man. Like I'm adding value to this podcast. Just being on it. Yeah. Hashtag value.
So I think on every podcast, we should have at the bottom a count of how many times we say the word value.
Yeah.
And I think we've already said it probably 10 times now. So
that's great. Well, it's more value.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I want to start with the fun stuff. One, I'm going to do a quick market update. I think that it's extremely boring to tell you how many houses were sold, what the average sale price is, but I'll tell you this. This just happened at the meeting this morning. I don't know if you heard it being said, but I've said it a few times. I've heard a lot of realtors saying it. I just had 3 phone calls in a row before we walked into here, all the same thing. And selling agents right now are saying, I'm not sure why it hasn't sold. I have no idea why this property hasn't sold. We held offers. We listed an aggressive price. I don't know why it hasn't gone yet.
If you're questioning why it hasn't sold, you're not paying attention, because why it hasn't sold has been in every headline in the news everywhere across the U.S. I mean, we follow the U.S. and everything. So it's like mortgage applications in the U.S. are down dramatically.
Yeah.
And that's a telling sign that obviously home sales are going to go down.
Yeah.
So it's not a surprise.
Exactly. But I think we were just so used to this market, and I think there's going to be a huge shift, which also I feel bad for the agents who got into this market that were very new, because I think they're going to be in for a real treat when we get back to the market. Like when you and I started in the business where it was basically a buyer's market. Yeah. And you have to work a lot harder.
Yeah. You actually get phone calls from the seller saying, why isn't my house sold? And you're like, oh shoot, it's still on the market. I thought it was gone.
We've been so used to that. So, so that's kind of like the quick market update on what we see going on right now. I just want to introduce Brent. So Brent is our marketing manager. He's been our right-hand man for a long time. We brought him on when we were still running our own brokerage. My father was running his own brokerage at Nadeau Realty as a graphic designer. And the one thing that I don't give you, I try to give you enough props for, but you are somebody who has is perfect for this podcast because it's a growth mindset. Like you have done everything you can over the years to make more money, be more productive, and try to add more value. It is. Hashtag value to the group, because you started as a graphic designer, which you absolutely impressed us right off the hop with everything that you were doing. But then we had some changes in staff, we'll say, very drastically and dramatically, which is a whole other podcast in itself. But you and I had to step into an admin role. Yeah,
which is our strengths. We're just organized, just highly type A's,
very detailed individuals, lack of very
that's why I became a graphic designer, because I like strict rules.
Right. There's no lack of attention for us to detail.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, so we got thrown into a min role, and then you went from, once we found another person to plug into that role, you basically found everything that we were paying money for, and we're like, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this.
Yeah.
So, taught yourself how to build websites, taught yourself how to fly the drone successfully and unsuccessfully.
Yeah.
I think there is one still in a tree somewhere.
There's still one in a tree. Yeah. It's still got an SD card on it. Yes.
So for our Amherst Island livers, if you're looking for,
if you don't know Amherst Island, there's literally like 4 trees on it, and I hit one of them.
There you go.
The entire island.
Also a windy island. Like all islands are windy, so we'll chalk it up to that.
Yeah.
But you started doing video work, and that's obviously what you're doing right now, getting very creative with. From there, you then went and got your real estate license.
Yeah.
Because you saw, the opportunities that were there. And then a step further than that, you now have a portfolio of investment properties.
Yes. Yep.
Which, I mean, just to see that go from one thing to the next, I love to see it, because I just think if you're not growing, you're dying, and you're the perfect example of that.
Well, thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah. It's fun. It was a good place to have like some people around who supported growth, which, I mean, that's kind of hard to find. So,
Absolutely.
It was facilitated. So I enjoyed it.
Absolutely. So, I think the first thing we want to talk about too is the fact that when you did get your real estate license, and when I first got my real estate license, we were very young.
Yeah.
21, 22 years old. So we were selling real estate without owning real estate.
Yeah.
Why don't we talk about that experience? Because it's obviously an interesting one.
Well, I think it's like, it's because I know, like, I mean, there's people on our team now currently don't have a home, but they're still selling real estate. And so the thing is I think, I don't know for you, but for me, when I first got in, I didn't have a home. I was like, what credibility do I have with this person? Like I remember one good piece of advice. And the reason I think talk about this is for people to get some confidence, is like you still have a lot to offer these people. You work in it every day. Mm-hmm. You don't have to own a piece of real estate. Sure. Does it help? Do you learn a lot? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But if you don't have one, educate yourself. Mm-hmm. And I think you said it best. When we first got started, it was like, when you get a home inspection going through, it's just like, just tag along with the guy who's doing the home inspection.
I used to ask, like, what I was trying to do as blanket questions. Let's say I had younger couples that were looking at properties. If I had no idea what something was, I'd be like, hey, Mr. Inspector, why don't you tell them a little bit more about this furnace? Yeah. Why don't you tell them what kind of furnace it is? And I'm like, okay, it's a natural gas furnace. I got it. All right. Because I was super self-conscious about it when I first started, because I was literally living in my parents' basement, trying to sell properties. And it was interesting. I had a lot of experience in sales from the back end of things, like, because I worked in inside sales in Ottawa and then in Kingston before we got thrown into that admin role. But yeah, I think it's up to educating yourself. I think that's kind of the hardest thing with, especially us being super attention deficit, was like sitting down and learning as much as I possibly could about real estate. I don't know if I did a good enough job of it, but I think if I was going to do it all over again and I didn't have a house where the basics of owning a home, and what all goes into it, I would educate myself all over again, so that like, if you can be prepared. I think that the best thing in sales is if you can act like you anticipated every question that a seller or a buyer has. Yeah, it shows your level of expertise. So I love to be able to, the opportunities when I get to say, I'm so glad you asked that. Or like, I figured you would have that question. That level of confidence helps you do so much more business, I think. Yeah.
And I think you also realize that so when you work in real estate, you see home sales every day, or, every week, every month. And so you think that level of knowledge is what everyone else has, but some people haven't bought or sold a house in 20 years.
Yeah.
So people live it. So
it's changed. It's changed in the last 60 days.
So you have no idea so when you walk into that, I think confidence goes a long way. I would never say it's fake it till you make it. I've never really liked the fake it till you make it. Mm-hmm. I think just, like you said, educate yourself going into it, actually become acquainted with these things, because you can come in with a lot of knowledge, and people have questions. If you don't know the answer, work hard, find it out. Yeah. Be a resource. Like, even if you have to be like, I'm going to delay that text message for another 10 minutes because I just did some research and I found an answer.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you have to be resourceful. Yeah. And, okay, so let's get into the fun stuff, because this is like the main reason I wanted to have you on, is to tell the real tales of a realtor. I want to have the segment. We got to think of something more creative than that. But the stories that we have in real estate, Kendra Hodgson had a good one last week talking about her mopping up a spill at a final walkthrough with her blazer. You have like the best story in real estate that's ever happened to anybody, I think. So please share.
Well, I mean, there's obviously only one story you're referring to here, and well, for me personally, it was again, still being new in the business. I take every phone call I take every lead.
Yep.
And I follow through. So I met this couple and I was working with them and for months, like 3 months or so. And all the way through, didn't really seem like red flags, but they made me show them every piece of vacant land Kingston had to offer, every waterfront, every single question you could ever imagine. Anyways, so the whole story is the girl she had an inheritance coming her way, and that's how she was going to close the deal. And now the boyfriend was like, yeah, that's absolutely true. And I was like, okay, sweet.
And you met the family.
I
and
met
everything.
the parents. I met like the freaking cousins. I met everybody, and we did walkthroughs. So we had a confirmed firm offer. We're all good to go. And I remember, I can remember exactly where it was. I was on Amherst Island, my favorite, and I was driving. And I remember I get a phone call from the guy, and I won't say his name, but I get a phone call from the boyfriend of the situation, and he's like, "Hey, Brent, like, you're not going to believe this." And I was like, "What? Like, what's up?" He's like, we can't close the deal. I was like, "Well, unfortunately, you have to, and it's today." And so the guy he's like, "No, like, we absolutely cannot." And I was like, "What happened?" And he's like, blank, tried to rob the bank last night. What the fuck did you just say to me? Excuse me? And like the guy, I mean, you can always tell the guy is audibly upset.
Yeah.
So the girl had no money, $0, like all zero. And then she went into a bank with a gun and tried to rob the bank. And she was not a slim fit, like she wasn't
getting away quickly.
She was not getting away quickly, and she got caught walking up the road with no money because she couldn't get anything. And I had to call a listing agent. I had to call your dad. I had to tell everyone, was like, what do I do? How do you get out of this? Like, am I in trouble? I was like, Jesus. Yeah, it was crazy.
I think you like came to me a little bit stressed, like, I don't know what to say. What do I do here? And I was just like, pretty much laughed in your face because I was like, that is the most outrageous thing I've ever heard. And I said, you don't appreciate it now. I'm sure you're upset about losing the deal, but like, that is a story that we will tell at real estate conferences for many years to come.
I always think about it, like in the back of my mind. I see her face and I'm like, what did I miss?
How did I not pre-qualify that this client was going to rob a bank?
Okay, lesson learned. I want bank statements next time. Getting bank statements.
And maybe criminal record checks too.
Yeah, I should have asked.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to share my favorite story for myself this year and probably in my real estate career. So I was at a town when an investor client of mine looked at a multi-residential property. So I had to send one of the agents from our office. So I had yet to see this property. We put an offer in, we got it accepted, and we had to go for a final walkthrough. So the weird thing was there's 4 units in this property. My client wanted to move into one of the units, but there was apparently this like crazy lady that was living in the basement unit that he wanted to move into. And there was talk of her wanting to leave. She wasn't sure. Nobody had really seen her all that much when she was living there. And it was kind of this big question mark. He wasn't able to get into the unit. She wasn't letting them in. So we go to do this walkthrough, and the big goal of this walkthrough is like, we want to get into this unit, and we haven't been able to get into the basement because it's like an older house. So you have that creepy crawl thing where you go into the side door,
like that,
the hatch at the side of the house. So we wanted to see what that looked like too.
It smelled good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Good. That's
when you inevitably just like, there is water, no matter what you do, like the stone foundations, like you're expecting water. Yeah. So anyway, so we finally get to this unit, knocking on the door, nothing. All the lights are on. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And then he goes, can we not just go in? Like, I'm going to own the property anyways. And I'm like, you know what? Like, we have the proper notice. The agent told me we're good to go. If it's unlocked, then we're probably good to go in. So I try the door. It's unlocked. And as we walk in, like, it looked like this lady left in a hurry. Ugh. Or something was going on. So like the fridge was still full. It was open. It stunk. There was like all of her stuff was still there, and it was in rough shape. My guy was super happy because he's like, you know, this is an opportunity. He knew this whole property was an opportunity and it needed a little bit of love. So he's happy, but I'm thinking, what happened to this lady? She just dropped off the face of the earth. So then we go around to the basement through the creepy entrance on the side. And I was wearing a very tight suit that day. So as you can imagine, and I usually do try to go into these things just to see if there's any issues or whatever, but today was not one of those days.
It's a crawl space.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
nice.
So my client is for reference, a bodybuilder, big boy. his father, who was in the basement with him, is a contractor, knows what he's looking at down there.
A real
thing.
father contractor?
Yes, this time. Okay. Yeah, actually very qualified.
Nice.
I know. It's weird. But so he goes down, and I'm kind of just standing at the top, and how's it look down there, boys? Whatever. And all of a sudden the father starts like losing his absolute shit. And he's like, what the fuck? Oh my God, what's going on? And like the kid didn't even take 2 seconds. This kid moves so goddamn fast. I've never seen a 200-pound man move this quickly. He was just hauling ass to get out of there.
Kool-Aid
and it was
man
like,
the door.
Yeah, it was like one of those, like it wasn't like stairs. It was more like a ladder. And this guy just hauled ass up the thing. I get out of the way, and we're standing at the top of the stairs, and I'm like, what is it? Like, what's going on? And at this point, now if you're following the story, I'm thinking, this fucking lady is down there.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
100% thought that.
Or it's an old building. I'm like, is he seeing something supernatural? Regardless, fuck this. I'm out.
Get the fuck out of there.
And so I'm backing off, and I'm not asking what is it at all, because I don't want to know. I just want to get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And so the kid's like, is it a snake? Is it a snake? And it's like February in Canada. I'm like, bro, I literally just turned around. I was like, it's not a snake. Like, snakes are dead at this time of the year, right?
It's frozen if it is.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, all right, he must have thought he saw an animal. Maybe it's a raccoon, whatever. But the weirdest part and the scariest part is the father isn't saying a fucking word. He's just in there now, quiet, with his light on, looking in the corner of the basement.
Creepy as shit. That's like The Grudge, man.
Yeah, dude. I'm freaking out. So I'm like, all right, I want to get out of here. So finally he comes out of there, still not saying a word to me. We get around to the back of the property, and he goes, hey, Pat, and he starts giggling. And he's like, you see that, what's on the tenant's front step there? And he has like this porch is probably like 10 feet long, and there's an aquarium stretching across the entire like deck. So it's like probably a 7-foot long aquarium. And he goes, whatever lived in that is what I just saw in the basement. So he pulls out his phone.
Oh no, dude.
And there was a 5-foot long fucking python in the basement of this house.
Dead? Alive?
We don't know.
Oh.
So he couldn't figure out. He said he thought it was dead. It wasn't moving, but like snakes don't move a lot.
No.
But it was fully stretched. So in the picture that in the picture that he showed me, it was fully stretched out. This thing was huge, bro. And so then I have to so then play this out till the next day. I have to call the agent and say, hey man, we haven't closed on this yet, but like there's a python that somebody needs to I don't even know who you would call in the middle of Canada to like remove a python.
Ace Ventura or something.
Ace Ventura.
Somebody help.
So amongst many of my stories, that is my favorite one because it was the last thing.
Did you get the snake out?
Well, we close in a week, so I'll let you know.
Oh, that's good. Throw stuff at it. Maybe it'll find a new home.
So that was a first. So let's transition into systems. I think that was something that we wanted to talk about.
I forgot about that.
A little bit less fun, but I think it's something that's super crucial.
Yeah, I think so. Because I've been sitting on the outside, I've been playing a lot of like.
What a transition, bro.
Yeah.
So snakes and bank robberies. Let's talk about systems.
Well, you stuck around this long. You know what I mean? It's fine. If you're here, then maybe you'll learn something about it. Who cares?
Yeah.
It's all good. Move on.
Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, so I think it's like, because I've been on the outside a lot of times. So, because I mean, like I said, I'm kind of like outside of the business. I see what you guys are doing and how things grow. It's like I've seen your business grow from the beginning, like pretty much all the way through. And so I one thing I noticed is like later on, now you're doing a lot more volume in business. You had said your story classically is like, you were doing 20 deals a year. You couldn't outgrow it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that, and then now obviously you're much further beyond that. And a lot of that is due to the fact that you had systems. But I do remember you had such a hard time correcting things retrospectively. So I think like for me, it doesn't matter what system you come up with. I mean, obviously take advice from people who know what they're doing, but you need to have systems early because people in the beginning don't think they need it because they're not doing as much business, but you should be treating 10 or 12 deals the same way you're treating 50 deals in some sense or one way or another. Like obviously there's more involved with 50, but how you treat the clients along that step and process should be relatively the same. So if you do it early, your database should be primed up and ready to have 3,000 people in it. when you only have 100.
Sharpen your axe. If your axe is sharp enough, when you go to swing at a bigger tree, then at least you'll be ready for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I think like one of the things I've written down on my many whiteboards in my office, for anybody who's seen my office, it looks like a mad scientist.
It's a kill list. It's like Assassin's Creed in there.
So it's a hit list. Yeah. But one of the things I have is systems equals success, and duplication creates success. You create duplication. So you'll never scale your business. You'll never grow your business unless you have systems in place, because otherwise, like you said, what I was doing before is like, I would get going, I'd see some success. And then I was like, all right, well, how do I deal with this problem that I'm not ready for?
Yeah.
So it gives you the chance to scale a lot faster. Because I also believe, like I already said, you're not growing, you're dying. And if you're not able to add value. To your clients, once you start to scale your business, because what happens is you get busier and busier and busier. And if you don't have the systems in place to continue to add value to your clients, when the value drops off, your repeat and referral business is going to drop off too.
Yeah.
If you can't create a good experience, and Kendra was on last week saying the same thing, like if you can't create a good experience for your clients, you're kind of out of luck.
Yeah.
That's the backbone of our business. So when you go to list a property, it's about eliminating speed bumps and ensuring your success, because the big thing is if you have a system, there's less room for error.
Yeah.
Right. So same thing goes for a buyer. What's the system for attracting a lead? What's the system for converting the lead, booking the appointment? And then once you've taken that to the close, what is your system for keeping them in your database and making sure you never lose that client? Because we are in a business of, like I said, repeat and referral. These clients should be a client for life, not a transactional.
Yeah.
Right?
We're not a convenience store. Our window of transactions are when we close and make money on a deal. It's far in between. So like if you think about, you run through your pipeline, you have people come in top of funnel, wherever they are, then they get middle of funnel. And you end up closing them and they turn into transactions. Like, you still need a system for that person. Mm-hmm. So like, understandably, if you have only like your real estate 6 people and you're like, well, this is easy, I'll just throw it in my Google Calendar and I'll remember to give them an anniversary, like a home sale anniversary thing. I'll remember all these things because I know that it's just a small number. But guess what? It'll happen overnight that you won't be able to do that. Don't you wish you had the system in place that it's all
once you realize you need the system, it's too late.
Too late. Yeah. There's like we can put resources all around at the end of like bottom of the video. Sure. Some good videos to watch, but like you definitely, it's one of those things. Do it early, because if you do it early, you'll save yourself time and you'll make money. Not save money. You'll make money if you do it right.
All right. So let's finish with something that's going to be a little bit fun. We had fun at the beginning. We've mixed in some knowledge. You had an idea of doing a segment called "How Low Would You Go?" because everybody has this idea of how sleazy realtors are.
Yeah.
And we've had to do some crazy stuff in the past. So you thought, let's make some crazy scenarios and throw out realtors and see how they would respond to it. And some of these things like are pretty close to what's actually happened. So
I'll tell you where it came up. Like, the idea came to me the day that I had a woman come from Toronto who didn't speak English very well.
Right.
And I picked her up and she had me drive her to appointments all around. And then she's like, can you drop me off at Shoppers? And I'm like, I am doing this girl's chores today. Like, I'm taking her around. And she opened my car door and she smashed against the car next to me. And I was like, this is not as low as I'll go lower, but like, that's pretty low.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've definitely been in similar situations. So, also had to have a client drive me home from like the middle of nowhere one time because my car broke down.
Brutal.
Yeah, actually, I went to put my car in park. It was like on a cliff of a waterfront property, and I went to put my car in park, and I don't know anything about vehicles, but like whatever
it
that was,
it or something,
it broke. So I couldn't put my car in park like at all. So I like put it in park, turned the car off. And my key didn't come all the way out. Luckily, or else I would have been out of my car because I was getting out of the car, took my foot off the brake. My key didn't come all the way out. So I caught it. And as my foot hit the ground, I felt my car roll away from me.
Jesus, man.
To go down the road. So I jumped in the car, e-brake, whatever. And then anyway, so I had to be like, can you guys drive me home? And then the best part was that was the night of the Big Glorious Sons concert last, whatever it was, 2 years ago. And at, so I was going to a party before, which is where they had to drop me off at. And I had to empty cases of beer out of my car and into my client's car.
And I said, hey, these are for clients.
That's what I said, dude. I was like, do you guys want these? I have these for clients all the time, like conveniently, grossly sitting in the back of my car.
They like them warm. Some of them do, I think.
That's exactly what I did. And they're like, this is so nice.
That's a natural response. I think that's what everyone would do.
Okay. So how low would you go?
Okay.
Let's say, I wrote a couple ones. Okay. Okay. So you have, it's your brother's wedding.
Okay.
It's not the heat of the moment. There's you're in the middle of pictures. You don't necessarily have to be there, but it's a big day.
Yeah.
And your clients give you a call and they want to put an offer on a $1 million listing. Offers are due in an hour, but they want to go, they're up against one other offer. You know this already because you talked to the agent that morning. They want to go 800,000 or 900,000 above, no conditions. And you think they got a damn good shot. How low do you go? Do you write the offer in the parking lot of your brother's wedding?
Dude, that is tough. I think
you sleazeball, dude. You're a sleazeball. You even thought about it. That's your brother.
See,
how dare you?
You know what I thought of immediately? Because I don't even know if it's low and I don't want to say it's low, but I would hashtag crawl and hashtag add value to Joey Moser and get him to do the deal for me. Or something like that.
Yeah. I guess that's the luxury of having a team. But okay, so how about your wife is pregnant and she is going into labor? It's still early. So it's not the kid's not coming quite yet. Your clients who you have shown 50 plus houses to, like you've lost track at this point.
Yeah.
And you've written 20 plus offers.
Yeah.
Every offer you've written has been just, when you get those calls and you're like, this is not worth anyone's time, including the clients.
500.
And they're going 501, 490, whatever. And conditions, they haven't dropped conditions one time. And now they finally, Brent, we want to go 100 over ask, no conditions. There's not a lot of competition. We know your wife's in labor, but can you deal with this? And we don't like Joey Moser.
Okay. I let my wife answer the call. I let her answer the call, and full whatever she says, I respect.
Right.
If she goes, I'll be like, look, you either that or like, if they don't win, I need them to apologize to my newly born son's face. Right. And that's it. So wife answer, or if they lose, I expect a genuine apology straight to my newborn child's face. And I expect no conditions from future offers. Right. So, I mean, if that's that works for them.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. All right. Well, that was a lot of fun. There's some good stories. Yeah. We'll definitely continue to have you on here and not just behind the camera. But thanks for doing everything you do, brother. We appreciate you. And hopefully you can continue to make me look good on the screen. And we'll wrap it up by saying, here we go.